John Tom's mouthwatering barbecue sauces are handcrafted in the Midwest with a subtle dose of Southern charm. Voted Indiana's favorite by Indianapolis Monthly, John Tom's distinctive flavor has been praised by culinary experts along with everyday consumers. There's a flavor that the entire family can enjoy. So whether it's Hoosier Heat, the original Sneaky Hot, which is my personal favorite, or the brand new Peppered Gold, which is oh so tasty, go to www.johntomsbbq.com. That's www.johntomsbbq.com. Southern style, Midwest flavor. Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And once again, thank each and every one of you for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I truly appreciate it. All right, what's on tap for today, you guys? What are we going to talk about? We're going to discuss something that is in the news right now dealing with your credit. So unfortunately, there is something that's going on where Wells Fargo, one of the biggest banks around, they are going to be closing personal lines of credit. So since they're doing so, we're going to discuss how does that impact your credit if you have an account with Wells Fargo. But stay tuned, stay in tune. Just because you may not have a account with Wells Fargo, that doesn't mean that your bank won't come along and do the same thing. And it's going to tell you, or the show is going to tell you, how you're impacted if you close your accounts yourself as well. So we're going to discuss what's going on with Wells Fargo. If you don't know, Wells Fargo decided they were closing their personal lines of credit. They've had these for a very long time, and they're going to be closing that particular portion of their portfolio, and it's definitely going to impact people's credit that have these personal lines of credit. Some of you may not even be aware that there are personal lines of credit out there. They're not tied to anything, not because you bought a washer and dryer somewhere. It's not tied to a home equity loan, things of that nature. So stay tuned, listen to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. We're going to keep you up to date on all the things credit related. All right, and so that's what we're going to discuss mainly today on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. So again, thank you guys for coming in and rocking with the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to like the show. Hit that like button. Yes, hit the like button wherever you're listening to it, whether it's on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, if you're listening to it on my own personal app, and it's available both on Android as well as on Apple phones. Go ahead and like that button. It's on YouTube. So go ahead and like the button for the 800 Credit Score Man Show, and share the show with your people. Share the show. And you heard John Tom's barbecue sauces at the top of the show. Go to www.johntomsbbq.com and order you some barbecue sauce from there. Trust me, you will not regret it. Trust me, you will not regret it. So we're going to talk about that, and I got to give a shout out. So last Friday to be exact, Carter of the trio that you hear at the end of the show, Carter celebrated his birthday. So happy birthday, son. I am so proud of you. It is a joy to watch you grow up, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future. So happy birthday to you. I really enjoy watching you grow up, and I love you. So and there's nothing you can do about that, as I tell you all the time. So happy birthday to you, Carter, and on to second grade. So let's get it in. All right, so let's talk about this Wells Fargo thing. So if you're not aware, in the month of July, Wells Fargo announced that they're going to be closing their personal lines of credit. Now, these personal lines of credit are something that they've had for quite some time. These lines of credit could be anywhere from giving their customers $3,000 line of credit up to $100,000 line of credit. And they're going to be closing them. And it does not matter how long you've had it. There's nothing you can do about it in regards to say, hey, don't close my card, don't close my account. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's what's happening with Wells Fargo. There are not rumors, but thoughts that other banks may follow and follow this as well. But most likely, most of the banks are going to look at this independently. Do they need to do this as well? And they don't necessarily need to do this. Wells Fargo actually over the last few years have pulled back from a bunch of different things. So they've pulled back on doing so many home equity loans. They pulled back on part of their auto lending portion. So I don't know what's going on with Wells Fargo. This is not a hit on them. This is something that's in the news and it's credit worthy and it's worth talking about because it will absolutely impact your credit score. So they are going to be closing those, and they didn't give a particular time frame, but I'm thinking, at least from the articles that I have read, that it's going to be relatively soon. So some of your accounts could have already been closed in the month of July. Maybe it's coming in August. Maybe it's coming in September. Companies are working off a quarter system. So maybe it'll just be in the third quarter somewhere, and it'll all be off of their books come the fourth quarter of the year. But this is happening, and they did send out some notices. So if you have this type of account, they should have notified you already that that's going to happen for you. And in that letter that they sent to you, it says it may impact your credit score. It may impact your credit score. Now, Wells Fargo knows good and well that closing this personal line of credit is absolutely going to impact your credit score. There's no may about it. It's going to impact your credit score. Maybe the only way that it couldn't impact your credit score, if you didn't owe anything and you just opened one 4 or 5 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, you opened up this personal line of credit, it may not impact your credit score. But everybody else, if you've had it for a long time, if you've got a big balance, if you've got a little balance, it's going to impact your credit score. And we're going to get into that today on why it's going to impact your credit score. And then, of course, we're going to give you a few solutions, some things that you can do. It's not always things that are positive or things that are going to turn it around or stop you from getting a negative hit on your credit scores, but these are some of the options that you have when it comes to this particular situation. So why do I tell other people that don't have a Wells Fargo account to stick around? Because this could apply to you. You can translate this to if it happens with your bank. You can also use this when you decide, I want to close a credit card. I want to close an account, and how does that going to impact me? Or if you just happen to pay something off and it's done. If you've got a loan out there, let's say it's a car loan, or let's say it's something big that you probably didn't want to pay forever, right? Say it's your student loan. You've been paying on it for 17, 18, 20, 30 years, and then boom, you're finally going to pay it off. How is that going to impact my credit score? Well, closing an account, whether the bank does it, whatever entity you have this account with, your credit union or wherever, a personal loan entity that lends money, or you close it yourself, it's going to have a negative impact on your credit. So let's talk about this a little bit. All right. So since they're closing these lines of credit, we're going to talk about how this is impacting your score. Payment history. So the payment history will stay on your credit report, especially if you had a good account. And the only bad ones, when I say a bad account versus a good account in this instance, not if you had, 2 or 3 late payments here and there. A bad account is going to be an account that had to go to collections. They had to collect on you. Not even Wells Fargo collect on you, but they had to send it to someone else. First of all, Wells Fargo most likely has their own collection department. So then once it leaves that particular department because you haven't paid and it's been 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and now you're going to collections, that's a bad account. A bad account, you filed bankruptcy on it, something of that nature. A good account is your account is still open, it's active, you're making regular payments on them. Even if you miss one here or there, which is not good for your credit, right? Even though if you miss one, that's still considered a good account. It is going to stay on your credit report. So it will stay on your credit report, even though they close it. It'll stay on your credit report. In the comment section, it'll say it's closed by, the lender. So it's not going to say closed by the consumer. You're the consumer. It'll say closed by the lender themselves. But they're going to close the account. It'll stay on your credit report. Good accounts stay on your credit report for 10 years. So all those payments that you made over the last 10 years or last few months, whatever it is, are going to be helpful for you They're going to be helpful because they're going to stay on your credit report, show that you made, your payments on a regular basis every month on time. You got those green checks, right? So that's going to stay on there. That's good for you, but it doesn't have the same impact when that account is open. So if the account was open and you're seeing all of those great payments on your credit report, then that is good for you. That's better for you. It's the best thing for you because we know that our payment history is 35% of what makes up our credit score. So it's the absolute best thing for you in this regard. So you always want to keep those accounts open if you can. So since they're closing this one, it is going to negatively impact you a little bit in that regard. So since payment history is 35% of your credit score, what makes up your credit score, this is going to lower your score some just because you won't have the full impact of the payment history that you have built up over the years with this particular account. Now, it's a line of credit. So a line of credit is treated like a credit card when it comes to your credit reports. So this means that it is part of your credit utilization. So it's not like an installment loan at all. An installment loan is where, you have a payment and you basically, most of the time you have a term. 99% of the time you have a term. You're going to pay for your home for 30 months. You're going to pay for your car for 60 months. You're going to pay for your home for 30 years, and you're going to pay for your car for, 60 months. That's what you have. That's, the term, right? So that's how that works. So that's an installment loan. But this line of credit is treated like a credit card. So it is absolutely going to impact your credit utilization. We all know from listening to the 800 Credit Score Man show, and anywhere you probably read about it or heard about it, that is 30% of what makes up your credit score. So how does this impact your credit utilization? So imagine this line of credit made your utilization, say, at 10%. It doesn't matter if it's $3,000 or it was up to the $100,000, right? It makes, let's say, because you have this line of credit, so you have all this credit available, and then you've got other credit cards, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 credit cards, doesn't matter. This utilization, because you have this line of credit open on your credit report, then it made your utilization, say, 10%. Just for example's sake, it made it 10%. Now, they take away this line of credit and all that money that you had access to, and it's going to drive up your credit utilization. It's going to drive it up. So it's like I said, it's like a credit card. It's like if you had a $10,000 credit card and you only owe $2,000 on it. If you do the calculation, that is going to be 20%. That's a 20% credit utilization. Well, imagine now that you're not going to have access to that $10,000 anymore. That is going to raise your credit utilization. And let's say now you went from 10% to a 70% utilization. That is a high credit utilization. It's a high credit utilization no matter how you look at it. Financial wise, as far as interest rates that you pay and things of that nature. But then for the credit bureaus, that's a very high credit utilization, and it impacts your scores negatively. So if you don't know, you forgot or whatever, the credit bureaus like for your credit utilization when it comes to your credit cards to be at 30% on the high end. So that's the high end. They want to be at 30% or lower. So when you hit that 30% threshold of how much you owe on your credit cards, then you're going to start to see an increase in your credit score. You get it down to 25, you're going to see a little increase in your credit score. Personally, I've seen it at 10%. When you get it down to 10%, you see yet another increase in your credit score. If you read about this often, like I do, there's data out there now that suggests at 6%, when you have a 6% credit utilization, you get yet another boost in your credit score. So the maximum where you want to be is 30%. So you got to change your mindset too. So when you go out and you get your new credit card and they want to give you $1,000 credit card or a $10,000 credit card, you want to, as your limit in your head, when you're changing your mindset in your mind, you want to say, I got 30% of this to spend. So I don't have $1,000 to spend. I got $300 to spend, because that's where you want to keep it. You want to keep it there or lower. You want to keep it there or lower to have the most positive impact on your credit score. So, like I said, this is going to lower your credit score with them taking away this personal line of credit. Now, we've looked at a couple of the